Hey, Nazu here. Today I'm going to do part 2 of What If Izuku was the only girl with a quirk. In the last part, I ended it with um, explaining who is keeping an eye on Izumi, Tokoyami because All Might told him to, and Bakugo because they're basically together, and Shoto as well because basically he's just thinking that he wants to make sure to see who she really is, because if his dad decides to get in it because she's the only girl with a quirk, he's probably going to try and make them be together. So he's keeping an eye on her to see if she is with someone. Bakugo and Izumi are together and are kind of hiding the fact that they're together to the rest of the class. So that's what I explained it for. And in the last part, Ida got set as the class president after the attack on the school, and that's pretty much that. So, when we get back, basically, they are in the school bus going to the USJ. Um, while they're in the bus, they basically start talking about their quirk, asking around. Izumi basically explained them already her quirk, but then Tsuyu asked Bakugo and Izumi, "Are you guys together? You always seem different with each other than with everyone else." Which both of them kind of go a bit red in the face. And then someone else basically says, "Well, they did tell us they've been together friends since they're a kid, so for sure they have a different way of thinking for each other." So afterward, they basically ask Izumi if the quirk she copies becomes stronger, or if she needs to train them to make them stronger than someone else, well, the original user. And then she explains that when she copies a quirk, she basically she gets it at the same amount as the original user, and that if she wants to keep it, she basically can just train it to make it stronger. Then ask him if Ochako asked her if she's going to keep his quirk, which she, which Izumi says that she was thinking of deleting it because it is useful, but since he's mostly going to attack, since she is mostly going to attack or grow to make herself stronger, she doesn't really need it. So she kind of shows Ochako that she already deleted it, which basically then the others ask Izumi if any of their quirks seems interesting to her, which she basically says Kirishima's one, hardening, because if I'm able to harden my skin while I'm in giant form, I'm pretty sure I would be almost unstoppable. Or just augment my in the size of my hand, place it around someone, and harden it to make it practically impossible to break in or break out of it. So Kirishima basically extended his hand saying, "Then just copy it." Which she basically does, but from a distance. And then she hardened her skin. And so they arrive at USG. So when they get in USJ, 13 and Aizawa start talking about All Might. Aizawa does the same sign. Then they go in. Then they explain everything. And then they see that, well, the electricity flickered. Then they see a black portal appearing in the middle of the USJ. And every one of the villain coming out. So basically, everything happens the exact same up until when they get separated. Izumi fell in the water. She sees every villain coming. She basically hardened her skin before trying to make an explosion to push herself out of the water. Which I don't know if Bakugo is able to do that, since all he needs to do is make his sweat go boom, and it works. I think it works like that. Well, that it works underwater. If it doesn't, I'm sorry, but I'm saying that it does. And basically, she just boosts herself to the out of the water, and it makes an impulsion in the water, which pushes a lot of them out of the way. When she's out of the water, Tsuyu basically extends her tongue, well, his tongue, and grab Izumi, bringing her to the ship. And so Midata basically asks Izumi if she's alright, because, well, she basically just launched herself out of the water. Then basically they start talking about the plan to go to the shore. The villains are waiting in the water because they're not sure. And then Izumi basically says, okay, I'm going to grow my hand and put it in the water and make the biggest explosion I can. Then the others, well, Tsu and Mineta ask her what they're going to do because it's going to harm them probably as well. Which she basically augment the size of her hand, and so she placed one around them and hardened it, and basically says, "No, you won't get hurt." And then plunging the other hand in the water, she basically makes an explosion that pushes every bit of water out of it. A lot of it comes back in the pool, but because of all the water that was pushed up, but most of the water was pushed on the sides. So after doing that, she basically jumped, like, since the boat basically got pushed up, she basically jumped, augmented um, her size to be giant fully, and basically placed Tsuyu and Mirda on the side of the pool. Then um, Shigaraki saw them and basically told the Nomu to destroy the kids. Which, when he got close to them, to Izumi, because he basically went for the giant, Izumi hardened the moment she saw him coming. When she got hit, she was knocked back by a massive amount with the hardening breaking. She shrunk down. Tsu caught her with her tongue, brought her back, and then the Nomu basically arrived in front of them, going to harm them. Which, in that moment, Izumi basically placed her hand in front of her, or in front of the others, basically thinking absorb his quirk and protect them, because she thought he had a strengthening quirk, which I think he doesn't have. What he has is regen and um, shock absorption. So when it hit her the second time, she had her hardening on. Um, she grew her hands, and the shock absorption basically nullified the entire attack. And then after Shigaraki saw that the second hit didn't do anything, he basically started going to hurt her all himself. Aizawa basically looked at Izumi, Mirada, and Suyu said, run, which, well, all Izumi thought was destroy it, and basically with her hands still grow in giant form, basically made an explosion that destroyed the shit out of the Nomu, but not enough to harm him completely, and he started regenerating. Which, after seeing that, she basically just grabbed Miranda and Suyu and started running. Well, no, she basically grabbed Mineta, that is a lot slower, and Suyu run himself. With Shigaraki saying to Kurogiri to make a portal in front of them. When Kurogiri tries to do it, he is not able to, and it's because Aizawa is basically um, using his quirk on Kurogiri. Then, when the Nomu goes back after them, All Might arrives through the door, basically breaks it. He's not happy at all. Sees the Nomu about to attack um, Izumi and two other students, and basically charge at it. He punches the Nomu, and it basically absorbs the shock exactly the same way. Which Izumi basically tells him he has shock absorption and regeneration. It's not going to work. Which All Might basically grabs them and basically jumps off to the front, placing them there and saying to them that he has to do this. Then Izumi tells him that if she's able to copy someone else's quirk, that makes her stronger. She could fight with him because she absorbed his quirks, but she doesn't have any slot left. All Might just thought, yeah, but even if she tries to copy my quirk, what would it do? Then she just thought, Bakugo's quirk. I can just ask him again, because, well, hardening will help, and so she basically says out loud, sorry Bakugo, but I need to get your quirk out of there. Because she basically trained with the plant quirk so much that she basically thinks of it as part of her now. While for the explosions, they're basically almost on the same level, so it doesn't really matter. Compared to the guy with the plant quirk that she doesn't even know where he is now. So she takes off that quirk, then ask All Might if it's okay for her to copy his quirk, which he basically says it's probably not going to work, just because, well, since All for One is leaving him, even if she copies it, he's just thinking it's not going to copy that. When she copies his quirk, what is copied is basically nothing. Not because it's not working, because it only tried to get the quirk that allowed him to basically augment his muscle mass to control One for All at 100% from the start. So, when she tried copying it and that it didn't do anything, she thought erase it, then tried getting it back again, and continuously doing that without anything happening. Which he asked her if everything was alright, which she says that his quirk, that she cannot copy his quirk. It's a lie. She's absorbing something, but nothing. But it still takes a space, which All Might just thinks, yeah, so One for All isn't going to work for like that. Which it's not that. If she had two slots, it would take his original quirk and take One for All at the same time, which would basically make her a lot stronger. But the problem is that since it only takes one of the quirk and that it takes the first quirk he had, and that it can only be activated when you have a large amount of energy that tries to be sent out, or basically that's what, well, a lot of people were thinking about. It wasn't said directly by the creators of the show, but that's pretty much what I think about it, because One for All is basically energy or speed and stuff like that of everyone else beforehand. So his quirk is basically just giving him the power that is in One for All without breaking his body, by giving him the body that would be exactly needed for him to use it. So she can't copy that, and so the Nomu starts arriving towards them. All Might basically tells Izumi to get out of here at all costs, because basically she's the only one like herself, and that if bad guys basically catch her, they're going to try and find a way to copy what she can do and give it to the other girls that want to be evil or stuff like that. So Izumi goes to run, All Might start fighting, which he starts going all out and pushing the Nomu the same way as in the anime. Then students starts coming out of where they were sent. They saw the battle, and basically when the Nomu was beaten, and that Shigaraki was going to try and hurt All Might, Izumi kind of came back and used her plans to grab Shigaraki, saying you're not hurting All Might. With Shigaraki looking at her and saying, so you have more than two quirks? That's interesting. Sh- um, Kurogiri, bring me back and take her with us. Which, when the portal is about to open near Izumi, Bakugo basically arrives next to Kurogiri, grabs the collar, and basically use a massive explosion on it, which hurts him a lot. So he basically just teleports Shigaraki and himself, and that's it. Then Bakugo basically goes to see if Izumi's alright. Every student is riled up back to the school. Every villain is basically captured by the police. The Nomu as well. And so they are told about the 1 week of a school, but they tell Izumi that they want her to stay at school. They don't want her to go back in public for a while because of the League of Villain. So basically, they tell it to Inko. They say that in the next week they're basically going to leave her, to ask her not to leave the house, while they basically make a dorm for her to be safe. Which at the same time they decide to do that for every student so that if the villains decide to attack again, the students are basically already at home. Well, that's cool. So that happens a lot faster. After the 1 week, they basically go around telling to every parents about what happened and that to protect the children, they made a dorm where they could stay safe and close to school, where teachers and heroes are. Which, since most parents didn't have time to have a problem because it was only one attack, everyone accepted. So it's basically this looking like the same thing as in the original. Let's say the reason it was built only in 1 week was because of they basically asked heroes and people in construction that had quirks to basically help everything go a lot faster to make sure that it was perfect and stuff like that. But instead of being one side, well, it is one side boy, one side girl. But for her side, basically, it's no boys allowed. So basically, in her room, it's a lot of stuff of All Might, but as well as some plants and stuff like that. While everyone else is basically the exact same room, except that for the girls, it's different to make it more boy-like. And so when they go back to school afterward, they're told about the sports festival, that they need to train a lot. And then Izumi basically tells to Bakugo that she had to erase her quirk because she tried to copy All Might's quirk. Asked her what he means because she basically still had two plays left. Then she said that she absorbed the monster's quirk, which is shock absorption and regeneration, and that when she tried to absorb All Might's quirk, she kind of needed a place, because she wanted to try and fight with him, and that Kirishima's quirk was able to at least protect her a lot more, which Bakugo kind of understood for, because, well, yeah, his quirk is literally defensive and attack based. It augments the strength of his strike because, well, basically it's like hitting a wall, but the wall is actually coming towards you at a certain speed instead of you going towards it. So Bakugo understood why she took his quirk out instead. Then he asked her, how does All Might's quirk feel? And she says that it didn't do anything. That his quirk was basically none, as if it needed something else to work, but that she didn't know what. So she copied Bakugo's quirk again. Then every day they went to school, then trained, and continued like that up until the sports festival. For the sports festival, um, Izumi basically took off, well, she kept every quirk she had, but decided to take off only Kirishima's quirk because she thought it's not going to be useful in here. It's basically race, and tried to find the quirk of someone else that could be useful. Basically, looking everywhere in school with everyone, and for the first time, she met the big three, which are Mirio, Sun Eater, because I never remember his name, and Nejiro. For sure, Nejiro is a girl in this, is a man in this one. But basically, they see her. They ask her what a girl is doing here. Then she tells them that she's the only girl with a quirk. Then they're interested. Mirio asks her what her quirk is. Then she says a copy quirk that I can copy 5 quirk for as long as I want. Which I have one place left that I can take a quirk. I have a gigantification quirk, and I have a um what was it again? A um ground control quirk, which is gravity, but she doesn't know that. So basically, that's the reason when the USJ didn't use it, because it's basically concrete everywhere, so kind of useless for her. Well, that's what she thought, because at some point she's going to learn about her gravity control. But she basically explains everything. They're in, they're interested, and then they ask her, "Wait, so you're looking what? You're looking for a quirk to place in the last part?" Which she basically says yes. Which Mirio basically thinks and says, "How does your copy quirk work?" Then she explains that it copies exactly how someone else works it, and that she even sees how they use it. Basically, it kind of takes the move they're able to do. She see exactly it gives her exactly the mentality, well, the way of using it. It gives her the natural way that people use it. So like Mirio basically is able to use it whenever he wants and knows exactly how to use it extremely easily. She basically explains that this would basically go to her as well, automatically, which she basically says, well, why don't you copy my quirk? Which Sun Eater and Netero looks at him and asks, are you sure about that? Then he said, well, yeah, she would be a really good hero, and if she needs a good quirk, why would I not let her have mine? So basically, she copies it, Then she sees all of the thing that can be done, and she's like, "Whoa, your quirk's awesome!" Which he basically starts laughing. Then um, they see the time which they have to go back to class, so they go back. Basically, she knows that if she activates the quirk, if her clothes will fall off, but she decided to not think about it yet. So she goes back to class, everything happens up until the sports festival. So at the sports festival, everything starts normally, everyone in the same place. When Shoto activates his quirk and that everyone is stuck, she basically permeates her feet and starts running, leaving her shoes and socks behind. And everyone's like, wait, how did she get them off that fast? And so basically she continues running. When in front of the robot, she basically augmented the size of her arms. Well, no, she basically turned completely giant and basically bash into one of them. And then continues running like that, which augments her speed by a lot. Basically just going over practically every different um, test that there were. And arrives to the end in about 5 minutes. So before anyone else. So after that, basically the peoples that arrive after her are Bakugo in second place, Shoto in third place, and Tokoyami in fourth. After that is Zeta because of his speed, but that's basically the reason. So for the cavalry battle, um, Bakugo and Izumi are together, as with Ochako and um, let's say, hmm, let's say Tokoyami, because basically Ochako likes Izumi, but some people think that Izumi and Bakugo are together without being sure. Because basically, they saw how Bakugo reacted to Mineta when he tried to loot her, kind of. So they are not sure if it's only because they're friends since a long time and that he just wants to protect her, or if it's because they're together and that Mineta was really about to eat it. So basically, Tokoyami is because, well, he was told to protect her by All Might at any cost and started growing fond of her as well. Well, more like a friend because they stayed a lot together talking. And basically, he was told that Bakugo and Izumi were together, but he didn't tell it to anyone else. So basically, they're a team that's basically wrecking the shit out of anyone else. Um, so for the teams that won, it's basically um, Team Shoto, Team Bakugo, another team that basically has Momo, Ida, and some other people, and the brainwashing guy. For the next uh, thing, basically everyone that's in it. Kirishima versus Um, Tetsutetsu. Basically, Kirishima was about the same strength as in the original, just as Tetsutetsu, so the same thing happened. Bakugo destroyed his competition completely, Shuro did the same. Um, Tokoyami, same thing. And Izumi, same thing. Up until Izumi versus Shuro and Bakugo versus Tokoyami. Tokoyami not needing Dark Shadow that much, and even if he wants to, he can boost him. But One for All basically did that, and was almost able to beat Bakugo, until Bakugo basically launched an explosion that was way stronger than he thought, and basically pushed Tokoyami out of the way, well, all the way out of the arena. But for Shoto and Izumi, basically, Izumi was destroying the ice, pushing him back, doing everything, until she basically said same thing as in the original to Shoto, telling him that it's his quirk, and that he shouldn't use it because of his father, calling him a deadbeat father, in fact, and continuing just kind of saying the same thing as in the anime if we don't count that. Then he uses his flame and tries to send it to basically harm her. She starts running, basically jumps off, and then while running to the flames, basically everyone thinks, okay, she's going to, well, everyone in class 1A thinks she's going to use hardening and try to survive it. But no, when it ends, they basically see burned clothes on the ground. And everyone, well, every teachers that were once with Mirio basically knew what was happening. And suddenly, just a massive kick coming from a massive punch coming from underground. Just Izumi jumping up and covering herself, kind of just with the thing with her hands and stuff. Basically pushing Shoto out and her the not having any clothes. Then some teacher bringing her something to cover, basically saying, "What the hell was that?" Which Mirio basically started laughing, like, "Yeah, probably a bad idea for a girl to do that." With Nejiro basically hitting him, saying, "That's the reason I asked you if it was alright." Which he's like, "Yeah, but I didn't think she would use it in that way." So they basically gave her new clothes, basically telling everyone to just not fucking look. Well, Bakugo saying that. And so the battle against Bakugo was basically just a moment of Bakugo and his girlfriend kind of fighting, with Izumi basically beating him completely, which he knew would happen, but meh. So basically, because of her regeneration and her shock absorption, she can do a lot of stuff against other people. Thanks to her gigantification, she can basically push everyone off. Against Bakugo, well, she basically used her gigantification and just pushed him off. And she didn't do that to Todoroki because she wanted to help him use his fire. And yeah, that's pretty much it for today. In the next part, say I'm going to do the um, agency thing. So yeah, this was fun for me. So if you liked it, leave a like. Natsu out.